This is a continued discussion from the previous episode of Nose to Tail, a podcast where we explore the world of aviation lifecycle solutions, insights, and more. Presented by Jet Midwest.
You guys have also ventured out into some new areas in the last couple of years. Why don't you fill us in a little bit on that? I'm pretty excited to hear about this.
We're trying to, I appreciate that. We're trying to create a portfolio that produces solutions for the industry. And one of the things we're trying to do is, one of the shortfalls in the industry is, hey, I wonder who is tearing down an aircraft. Well, there's all these companies like Jet Midwest that do teardowns, end-of-life services, and then produces those parts to the industry. But who all does that? If I'm a new person coming in, I've heard of Jet Midwest, I've heard of AirCap, but who else does it? You know, okay, there's a Cabu, there's a, but really, I got to call all these places and find out what they're tearing down. We created a website called teardowns.aero, so you have one global site to find out who is tearing down what, when it's being torn down, and where it's being torn down. Because what we found out is once you have that ability to go in, and let's just say I'm looking for A320s only, right? So I can click on that, go to that website, click on it, find who else is tearing down an A320. Let's say I'm looking for a vertical stabilizer or whatever. I can call them up and find it. It's amazing that I thought that all teardowns are smashed and crunched up into a ball of metal and then sent to recycle. A lot of times people will store them out in the desert for a very long time, so it's kind of like a pull apart. And so I know GRG is big on that. So, you know, you go out there and say, hey, do you have this, whatever on your aircraft? And they'll go out there and like, hey, we have two parked out there. Let me go check. I'll let you know. And then they pull it off and sell it to you. So it's amazing. And so that was an opportunity for us to produce that. The biggest one lately is trying to find a solution for the tooling out there in the industry. Because, so 25 years ago, Patrick, the opportunity for the construction industry, right? Somebody needs a dozer, all right? So instead of buying a $2 million dozer that I only need for two projects and then it's sitting in my yard, that's where the rental companies came up, like United Rentals, the RSCs. So they would go out and rent that dozer for 7 days at, whether $5,000-$10,000 a day, and then they don't need it anymore. It's off their books. So that's what we're doing with tooling. So instead of somebody buying a $500,000 engine stand or whatever, and they only need it for 2 weeks, why would you want to go out and buy a $500 when you could just rent it for $10,000 a day for 7 days? Let's say you pay $70,000 versus $500,000. That's what Tooling.aero. Tooling.aero is going to be the lease and the rental company of the future for tooling for the aviation industry globally.
So have you had these two new ventures? Where are they at in their evolution?
So teardowns.aero is actually, we just crossed over a year old. We've got a large base of customers that are supporting that. It is, I'm happy to say, over a year, it's cash positive.
It's fantastic.
And so it's supporting itself. It's doing well. Teardowns.aero is a year old, and Tooling.aero is about 2 months old. And so the teardowns, everybody's seen the value in that. The tooling has an opportunity to really revolutionize the rental/lease industry for all of the airlines and MROs globally. The nice part about it is it creates a lease pool. So for people that have tooling that's sitting in their inventory and they really don't know what to do with it, well, let's monetize it. That's one of the best parts about this is it's giving people an opportunity to monetize their tooling and help somebody else out at an MRO who's like, I just need this for 7 days. Great. Well, we have a process that it brings it into our stock. We lease it out. We bring it back. We run it through the process of making sure that everything's good with it, and then we send it back to the customer, and that it stays out on lease for 30 to 60 days. It's just a fantastic program that everybody that we have spoke to said, hey, I have this, that, or the other I need to get.
Well, I can certainly say I've spent a lot of money on tooling in my career, and I've accumulated a lot of tooling. So I appreciate it. I know we've taken advantage of putting our material on there, and we'll have more to go as we get our inventory put back together. So as you're looking at ILIFF and you're looking at these new platforms, as an organization yourself, are you growing? Are you bringing on more people? Is there a growth phase there?
We are. It is amazing that we've had to, we've been a medium-sized company for a while, but to support the growing operations, we're having to bring more people on. In fact, it just used to be myself and my wife to come to the shows as we started off early on, but now we've got 2 other people that we have to be at the show, because what I'm finding is with the other business segments, I have to be at other meetings and stuff like that, and they're a little bit younger than me, right? And so I'm happy to say that they can handle it, and I can kind of step back a little bit. So it's been really, really awesome.
Well, I can appreciate that. I know a lot of what I do is very similar, bringing my folks through, and now I've been replaced, right? They're out there replacing me in the marketplace as the face of the company. And that bodes well, and it's what happened with you. You got mentored by somebody else, and
I did.
Was able to provide you some of that, and now you can move that forward. And that tribal knowledge that we always talk about, in this business, every time I talk to somebody, everybody's got such great stories, and a lot of times they've got a couple impact stories. What's a good impact story from your career that would be good for some young person to hear?
A good impact story would be to, that's a good question. I would say an impact story would be to show up early. If you're 5 minutes early, you're late. Always show up early, and I can tell you, always be willing to shake someone's hand. You never know who you're going to meet. Because believe it or not, aviation for me, and I'm not a shy kind of person, but I will tell you, it was kind of tough to break into, because one of the first things I went to was an ACPC, and it's like this family gathering, and you're this person, and so I just started shaking hands and handing out business cards, and now today I'm part of that family, and so I would say don't give up. The impact that you can have and make in aviation, once you are in, it is the best business and the best people you ever work with.
Yeah, that's a pretty awesome story. You went from the +1 to maybe being the bride of the event, right?
That's right.
Or maybe at least the funny uncle.
I'm the funny uncle. I'll take the funny uncle.
There you go. It's probably more fun anyway, right? Yeah, it really is interesting. When I very first got in the business, I really didn't travel. I didn't meet the customers. It was all over the telephone or fax machine. I'm that old, right? We all remember those days.
Good old dot matrix.
Oh yeah, and so it was a interesting transition as we started to make customer visits and go to the first show. I remember my first show was 2005.
Wow.
And I had no clue what I was walking into, and it probably took me a couple of cracks at it to finally start to have the wherewithal to really sit down and approach anybody. And like you, I think now that I've got 25 years under my belt, I really want to take the opportunity to meet anybody, because hope maybe they can. If I can't help them, maybe I know someone who can.
Exactly.
And I think that's a huge part of the community that we have. COVID was rough. I really missed being able to be out here and meet with thousands of people.
Absolutely.
And shake their hands, see how it's going. What did they do to survive that challenge, and how did they come out of it that looks different than the way they went in? And,
oh, sure, absolutely.
It's been really fun to experience that evolution. I definitely would like to know, I have some favorite things from the component level guy, some favorite things that I love about aviation and airplanes very specifically, projects I've been involved with. What's one of those projects that, boy, you guys got your teeth into that just, it really lights your fire every time you talk about it?
We got, it is probably one of the most exciting components we work on, is a lavatory vent fan. It's got a 21,000 RPM. It sounds like this little mini jet when we test it. And so we actually kind of lucked into it. So we had a company send us one of those that wasn't on our capabilities list. And I'm like, this says lavatory vent fan. And well, everybody is like, well, if it's lavatory or waste and water, ILIFF does it, right? And so one of the nice things about it is we grabbed the CMM. We thought, can we actually work on these? And so we got up, and then I can remember the first time that we tested one. We bought one on the open market in as removed condition, and it's this fan that like brings air through. It's actually, believe it or not, even though it says lavatory vent fan, it's actually a Chapter 21 cooling and pressurization or air conditioning. But so we put it in. We put it in this cage, this huge metal cage, and locked it down. We created this lockdown, and you have to put this tape on it, and so you have this gun that gives the revolutions and the RPMs, and so they started this thing up, and it's like, and it's just this whine, and it keeps going. You're like, man, this thing is really tricking. We had the work order was on the other side of this tray, and it created such a suction that it sucked this work order in, and we're like, whoa! And so anyway, we still have this work order that's all chewed up to remind us, don't put anything in the test bay. Even if you think it's 20 feet away, trust me, there's no telling what to. And so every time we test those, they're like, they come and get me, and they're like, hey, Brent, come out, we're going to test a vent fan. And so I go out there and put my headphones on, and I'm like, rock and roll, let's hear it. It's so cool.
Well, the next time I come down to the shop, you'll have to get one out and get it on the test bench for me.
Cool.
That'd be fun.
It is really awesome.
Well, Brent, I appreciate it. You have any final words for our guests?
No, all I would say, it's an opportunity. We've been doing business with Jet Midwest, and there's been some fantastic people that we've worked with over the years. I know Ashley Santee is one of my favorites. She has become a good friend, and if I need something as a question, hey, where does someone go for this or that? If it's something outside of our specialty, she's always been there. And, we've worked for, I think we have been a customer or a partner with Jet Midwest probably for at least 25 years, if not longer. And so it's been a great opportunity. I appreciate the honor, Patrick, of getting the opportunity to come and talk with you and be on this podcast, and hopefully we provided some good information for people.
Would it help if everybody flushed the toilet twice when they got on the airplane?
Absolutely.
All right, double flush.
Double flush.
Let's double flush. That'd be good.
That's the secret to success.
Absolutely. Well, Brent, thank you so much for coming. It's great. I know our audience is going to love this dialogue. They now know where to send all their crappers to.
That's it.
The one guy who can do everything. I appreciate it, and have a great show.
All right. Thanks, Patrick.
All righty.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Nose to Tail is the perfect podcast to learn and connect. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Presented by Jet Midwest.